Samantha Neill is the 2018 Kansas Teacher of the Year. She is currently teaching English Arts at Buhler High School, USD 313, which has been her home for 16 years. She is a wife to Bob, not me, and a mom to 3 boys, her biggest supporters. Her year of service provided many adventures and opportunities. However, it was all the unexpected learning along the way that taught her the biggest lesson of all.
Okay. As I hugged my son on November 18th, 2017, I had no idea how our life was about to change. It's kind of like bringing a newborn home from the hospital. Everybody tells you what it's about to be like, but when you realize there are no nurses and doctors there, and it's just you and the baby, you know you're in for something amazing and scary at the same time. That young man in the picture that I was hugging, that was the most important day. On January 9th, 2018, he became our son. You see, that young man was my student 4 years ago. And after an 18-month process, my husband and I became foster parents. We had our home approved by DCF. And then we completed foster care, or the adoption, and became a family of 5. This journey took me from the State House, where I had never been before in my 38 years of living in Kansas. I missed that field trip. To the White House. And 15,000 miles by car, 19,000 miles by plane. Planes, trains, and automobiles, but home was still in room 209 at Buhler High School. So what does a State Teacher of the Year look like? 25 college presentations, 7 national conferences, 4 in-state conferences, a week at Space Camp, 6 district visits, 12 keynote speeches, 8 presentation breakout sessions, and lots of window seats. I had my own topographic map almost everywhere I went. And I was a kid, and I was learning again. The small-town girl learned to do real-world things like schedule an Uber, ride the subway, immerse herself in cultures and communities that she had never been a part of. It was an amazing experience. The small-town girl got to see innovation at its finest. I got to go to Google. I got to ride the Google bikes, collaborate in flexible workspaces with the fresh sunlight and fresh air, while a buzz of what might be next could be felt amongst the workers there. And it left me asking, how can we create schools that feel like this? Space Camp, a week of learning and experiments, a landing apparatus, a Mars rover, safely transporting 1 egg from the top balcony of a floor without cracking it or breaking it. Our astronaut, I tell you what, you've never seen people so excited to know that their egg wasn't cracked. Our egg made it. And then the excitement of building a rocket for the first time in my 38-year life. Pessimistically thinking that I didn't want to do it because I just wanted to get it over with. That fixed mindset that my students often show me that we fight through daily. But it worked, it separated, it fired again, and it landed with a parachute. This English teacher learned what it felt like to build things. My journey took me to a tall, unmarked building in the middle of New York City. Check that off my bucket list. I watched as 3 of my colleagues gave TED Talks, but I found myself drawn to the windows, for I had never seen a city skyscrape background like I saw there. And it was the little things, the simple things that caught my attention. Water towers on tops of buildings. I had no idea that that existed. Now I know that it does, and everybody was pretty surprised to know that in Kansas we use those as landmarks. It tells you what town you're in. And then the next morning, we woke up early to begin our journey across New York City to Ground Zero and the 9/11 Memorial. In a city of millions of people, if you get there early enough, you were alone. I quickly understood the panic of that day because as I looked around, I saw nothing but buildings, and I wouldn't have known which way to go to get out. May we never forget. And I held history in my hands in a classroom in DeSoto, Kansas. These shackles have surrounded human flesh, drawn blood, caused tears, and possibly death. And they were made for children. I held these tiny shackles in my hands. This type of learning, it changes a person. It changes your heart. And not a month later, I walked through 6 stories of history at the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C., and I saw those same shackles, the very shackles that I held in my hand on display. And I saw the slave auction blocks and the countertop from the segregated sit-ins in Greensboro, and again, I walked away thinking, how do we bring history out of textbooks and into the hands of our students? I traveled to local schools like Dodge City, where I was amazed by the innovation, the class that builds a house each year, the t-shirt shop, the programs for newcomer students. And I was humbled by the fact that for the first time in my life, I was part of the minority. I've never felt that before. Experiences like this have driven me to check my white privilege and to strengthen my resolve to fight for equity for all kids in our schools. And the innovation that I saw in Dodge City, it was replicated in every school that we went to. We saw full machine shops and automobile body shops in Newton. We saw 3D printers and engineering in Olathe and Winfield. Don't be fooled by what you see online. We are working to meet the needs of today's workforce. And much like the atmosphere at Google, all it takes is one teacher, like this one in Silver Lake, who wrote grants to transform her journalism classroom to function like a newsroom. Jamie Manhart believes that if there is a job or a skill that adults are doing, students can do it and they can probably do it better. We just have to trust them. So now I'm asked what's next, and I answer room 209 at Buhler High School. My what next is being able to support 2 students who planned a 5K last semester and raised $1,200 for the Bright House organization in Hutchinson. My what next tomorrow is a Special Olympics tournament happening at Buhler High School. My what next is home. And now my year of service has ended, but it has equipped me with the tools to advocate for our kids and to be their voice. Teachers must tell their stories. We must talk about the wonderful things happening in our schools, and it is wonderful. This year, this group of teachers advocated and stood up for our kids. They are my K-Toy 2018 team, and we became a family. We learned together, we laughed together, we cried together. We are better together. As a team, we are excited in the direction that Kansas schools are heading. Learning from these 7 people has been my greatest honor. And to be forever surrounded by a group of 55 state teachers of the year who believe with all of our hearts that the future of this great country, of this world, walks into our classroom each day. And any of us would be the first to tell you that we learn more from them about perseverance, compassion, grit, determination, and empathy than they do from us. This was a year of learning.